everybody. If you'll have your seats, we're going to get started. Everybody in the back, if you'd like to have your seats, I'd appreciate it. Okay, good evening. Welcome to the City of Glendale Council meeting of Tuesday, June 22nd, 2021. Meeting's called to order. We have all members in attendance, if you'll make note of that, Ms. Bauer. So roll call is not necessary. Our next two items on our agenda is the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Today's invocation is going to be delivered by a good friend of mine, Minister James Corden of Camelback Community Church. And then, gentlemen, if you're wearing a hat, if you would, please remove it if it's appropriate. And then, if you would, after the invocation, you remain standing, and that'll be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. So, Mr. Corden.
Father, thank you. Thank you for today. Thank you for your goodness, your love. Thank you for the privilege of the land that we live in. I pray your blessing tonight on this meeting. Having been on the agenda several times in the past myself, I understand the anxiety. And my prayer for those who are on the agenda and perhaps anxious is that they might have what Paul refers to in Philippians as your peace. God, I pray for the entire city council and our mayor throughout this night that Solomon's wisdom would be imparted and your will would be accomplished here. And our city would be moved forward in many different areas. Do it, we ask. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Have your seats. Okay, before we get started tonight, I'd like to remind everyone of the following. This meeting is televised live on the City of Glendale's Facebook and YouTube pages, as well as Glendale's own Channel 11. Our meetings are held in the Glendale Civic Center with the audience seated next door. Public health remains a priority. Face coverings are encouraged, but they're not required. We do request that all attendees, if able, maintain a 6-foot social distancing. And for those of you that are seated next door, please be aware that you do have a screen that you can see and hear us, but we also have a screen where we can see and hear you at the same time. With that said, if you wish to speak, listen up. If you wish to speak on any item that's on the agenda, please complete a golden colored form, a card, and give that to the officer in that room to be given to our city clerk and then in turn given to myself. If you submitted a speaker card and indicated that you wish to speak on an agenda item, we'll call your name, give you time to make your way to the podium here in this room. We will be allowing 3 minutes for each speaker on tonight's agenda items. If you wish to speak on any item that's not on the agenda, you'll need to complete a blue-colored speaker card, give it to the officer in this room, or the room that you're in, and that in turn will be given to me. Please be aware that the citizens' comment section is at the end of each voting meeting, and I'd like to thank you for your patience. Next on the agenda is a consideration of the minutes from the June 8th, 2020 voting meeting. Council members, do you have any corrections or additions to those minutes? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the June 8th, 2020 voting meeting?
Yes, Mayor. I move we approve the minutes of the June 8, 2021 voting meeting.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Vice Mayor Hugh, a second from Councilmember Tomanshaw to approve the recommended, to approve the minutes. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed, vote nay. Appears the ayes have it, do have it. That motion carries. Proclamation and awards. We'll now move on to the proclamation and awards. Tonight's proclamation will recognize the July 2021 as Parks and Recreation Month. I'd like to invite Sam McConnell. He's the Vice Chair of Glendale's Parks and Recreation Advisory Commission. And then along with Sam, as well as the Public Facilities Recreation Special Events Director Jim Burke, Assistant Director Skip Varney, and not all of the Parks and Recreation staff, but everybody that's here to be here for this presentation. I'd ask if everybody would come up front and stand just in front of those microphones. That'd be fine. I'm going to stand over here. Okay, so we have a proclamation. We had a lot of people here, and I want to tell you I'm so proud of everything and all of you do for our city, and I'm sure that our council all supports that. Whereas Glendale's parks, natural areas, playgrounds, sport fields, recreation programs, and community centers make Glendale an attractive and desirable place to live, work, play, and visit while contributing to its ongoing economic vitality. You didn't know you did all that, did you? Yeah, you do. Whereas public parks and recreation systems are dedicated to enhancing the quality of life for residents and communities around the world through recreation programming, leisure activities, and conservation efforts. Whereas parks and recreation experiences develop community lifelines and create continuous experiences for every member in our community. And whereas the City of Glendale Parks and Recreation Division is nationally accredited with over 2,100 acres, let me say it again, nationally accredited with over 2,100 acres of park acreage. That's a lot. And whereas July kicks off the summer season and has therefore been designated as Parks and Recreation Month by National Recreation and Park Association and the U.S. House of Representatives. Now, therefore, I, Jerry P. Wires, Mayor of the City of Glendale, Arizona, on behalf of our City Council, do hereby proclaim July 2021 as Parks and Recreation Month. That was signed by myself and our clerk, Ms. Bauer. Who gets this? Sam? Oh, I do. Okay, there's a microphone right there.
At first, they told me I didn't have to do this. I think they were fibbing me all along. Really, my part is very minute in what happens within the Parks and Recs Department. I get to sit up here once a month at a table and listen to all the ideas and plans and everything. But these people are the ones that do the work. I don't know what we do without them. I get choked up a little bit sometimes, but they come through. They're the old adage, they're doing more with less right now. There's less of them. There's less money to go around. We all know that. But I am honestly proud of every last one of them.
All right. Okay, you want to take a picture holding that out?
Sure.
And it's okay to get choked up. I get choked up at Walmart grand opening, so it's all right.
Come on up, Daniel. Come on. Do it up front center. Cheese and do it.
All right, excellent, thank you. Thank you. Anybody else need to say anything, Jim?
No, we're great. Thank you, sir.
Good, okay. Okay, moving on. Boards and commissions will now move on to just that for the individual nominated. Councilmember Aldama, do you have nominations to offer for boards, commissions, and other bodies?
Yes, Mayor, I do. I move to appoint Lisa Baker as chair and Leslie Mill as vice chair of the Community Development Advisory Committee for terms ending June 30th, 2022. Mayor, thank you.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilmember Aldama, second from Councilmember Tomachoff, to approve this to the citizens, to approve this citizen to a commission as read by Councilmember Aldama. All in favor, please vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Appears the ayes have it, do have it. That motion does carry. They're not here. They accepted and took their oath by, I don't know how they did it, but anyway, they're not coming in, so we're not going to do that portion of it. But they are in. Okay, moving on. Consent agenda and consent resolutions. We'll now move to our consent agenda items 4 through 35, and items on the consent agenda are routine nature, or they've been previously studied by the City Council at a workshop session. They are intended to be acted upon in one motion by this council. Ms. Bauer, can you read the consent resolutions, items 24 through 35, by number and title? And then, by the way, I'm told that item number 9, staff is pulling and going to make a separate presentation on, and item 14, Councilmember Tomachoff, you want to hear that separately, is that correct?
And a separate vote as well, Mayor.
Okay. So with that, I don't know who's going to make the motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'll read the
Yeah,
resolutions
go
by
ahead.
title. Item 24, resolution number R21-62, a resolution of the Council of the City of Glendale, Maricopa County, Arizona, authorizing and directing the entering into of an intergovernmental agreement with the cities of Avondale, Buckeye, El Mirage, Goodyear, Peoria, Surprise, Tolleson, and the town of Wickenburg, establishing the West Valley Mobile Field Force Response Team to provide a pool of specialized officers available to assist in responding to volatile situations, incidents of civil disturbance, public demonstrations, or events involving large crowds. Item 25, resolution number R21-63, or resolution of the Council of the City of Glendale, Maricopa County, Arizona, authorizing and directing the entering into of Amendment Number 1 to the intergovernmental agreement with Glendale Union High School District for school resource officers. Item 26, resolution number R21-64, a resolution of the Council of the City of Glendale, Maricopa County, Arizona, authorizing and directing the entering into of an intergovernmental agreement with Glendale Union High School District for a school resource officer at Glendale High School during the 2021-22 school year. Item 27, resolution number R21-65, a resolution of the Council of the City of Glendale, Maricopa County, Arizona, authorizing and directing the entering into of an intergovernmental agreement with Tolleson Union High School District number 214 for school resource officer at Copper Canyon High School during the 2021-22 school year. Item 28, resolution number R21-66, a resolution of the Council of the City of Glendale, Maricopa County, Arizona, entering into an agreement to accept and expend funds from the Mobile AZ grant from Blue Cross Blue Shield of Arizona for the Mobile AZ Substance Use Disorder Program in the approximate amount of $30,000 on behalf of the Glendale Fire Department. Item 29, resolution number R21-67, a resolution of the Council of the City of Glendale, Maricopa County, Arizona, authorizing and directing the entering into of an intergovernmental agreement with Maricopa County concerning development in the city's 10-foot wide strip annexation associated with a multifamily project entitled Innovation Villas at Camelback in Maricopa County at 12730 West Camelback Road. Item 30, resolution number R21-68, a resolution of the Council of the City of Glendale, Maricopa County, Arizona, authorizing the city manager to execute a license agreement with Mountain States Contracting for use of Hatcher Road right-of-way west of 151st Avenue for 2 railroad crossings. Item 31, resolution number R21-69, a resolution of the Council of the City of Glendale, Maricopa County, Arizona, authorizing and directing the entering into of a services agreement with Mode Real Estate Management Services, LLC, regarding the real property at 5835 West Palmer Drive, known as the Promenade at Palmer, and the parking garage. Item 32, resolution number R21-70, a resolution of the Council of the City of Glendale, Maricopa County, Arizona, directing and entering into an intergovernmental agreement between Maricopa County Human Services Department for Workforce Development Services at the Glendale Community Center. Item 33, resolution number R21-71, a resolution of the Council of the City of Glendale, Maricopa County, Arizona, establishing the Public Safety Personnel Retirement System pension funding policy and formally accepting the employer's share of the assets and liabilities under the system based on the system's actuarial valuation report. Item 34, resolution number R21-72, a resolution of the Council of the City of Glendale, Maricopa County, Arizona, authorizing the acceptance of the American Rescue Plan Act grant from the Arizona State Library Archives and Public Records Agency for the digital inclusion efforts option provided by the ARPA in the approximate amount of $15,274.49 on behalf of the Glendale Public Library. Item 35, resolution number R 21-73, a resolution of the Council of the City of Glendale, Maricopa County, Arizona, authorizing and directing the entering into of an intergovernmental agreement for landfill disposal services with the City of Avondale. And that concludes the consent resolutions.
All right, thank you. Do you have any speaker cards on any of those items?
No, sir.
All right, council members, any items that you'd like to hear separately?
Just number 14 for me, Mayor.
Okay, so we are going to do all the items other than number 9 and number 14. Can I get a motion on those?
Mayor, I move we approve consent agenda items 4 through 8, 10 through 13, and 15 through 23.
Have a motion from Councilmember Turner, second Councilmember Clark. Voice vote, all in favor vote aye.
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 Any opposed vote nay. Here's ayes have it, do have it, that motion carries. So now if we can go ahead and staff, if you'll do number 9, please. Is anybody going to do a presentation? Okay. What's that?
Mayor, council members, good evening. At the outset, what I'd like to suggest here is a big thank you to Councilmember Turner. He brought to my attention just yesterday late afternoon there was something quite wrong with the final plat that we had posted in your agenda packet from last week. As it turns out, and I immediately realized what had happened, we had a draft version from January, February timeframe that got posted. As you know, it goes through several drafts, and the final version, which was in the May to June time period, was the one that was left out. Sometimes these file names are very similar, and it was an error on our part. So to Mayor and Council, my apologies for not having the perfect final plat before you, and hence an opportunity to explain to you the various differences between those. In front of you is a new packet for item number 9. The brief memo identifies what's the difference in case you had your notes already on the original document that we had submitted from last week. But my intent right now is to just quickly walk you through it and then take any questions. So the Trevino at Glen Lake's final plat, the item is presented as presented here is between a mile to a mile and a half away from City Hall. It's a final plat with 173 lots that this council had previously approved as part of R16 PRD back in the middle of last year, covering a little less than 49 acres. Here's the location with the R16 zoning on it. It had gone through an excessive public involvement process, a couple of open houses, 3 planning commission hearings, and a council approval of the general plan amendment and the zoning that went along with it. The planning commission did approve the preliminary plat back in November, and since then we've been working with the applicant to get the final plat. As you might recall, the planning commission's role with the preliminary plat is a technical document that doesn't come before this body. The final plat is the one where the legal descriptions, the ownerships, and everything else associated with the plat is finally decided by this body. Just to recall what the original site plan, as you had approved it, looks like, it's got a variation of several lot sizes that were approved with the site plan, and that's the same site plan that's also reflected in the final plat, this time with the correct notes as well. I don't plan on going through each page of the final plat, but that too is included in your package on an enlarged scale. So with that, I'll be glad to answer any questions. All requirements have been satisfied from a technical perspective for your recommended and for our recommendation to you for your approval.
Any questions from the council?
Mayor, thank you. Mr. Maida, I haven't really had time to go through it in the detail that I had dedicated to the wrong version, but I had sent you a memo with my concerns, and you assured me that the things that I'd pointed out had been addressed in this corrected version that you've set out before us today.
Correct, that is right.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, can I get a motion? Well, actually, wait a second. I just got a speaker card just now. Is it Katie Wheeler? Please come up to the microphone, podium. And if you would, ma'am, state your name, just to your left. There you go. If you'll state your name, city you live in, and then you have 3 minutes.
Kathy Wheeler. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm too close. 5335 West Purdue, Glendale, Arizona. I'm speaking for the Glen Lakes community at this time. We have struggled with this, asking for the final plat forever and ever, and we're told you have it, and now I hear when I come in that he's apologizing, he doesn't have it. And if Mr. Councilman Turner hadn't said something, you'd be done and finished on this. I can't believe that this is dragged out so long by so many mistakes by the city. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion.
Yes, Mayor. I move final approval of final plat FP 20-10 Trevino.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Clark, a second from Councilmember Hugh, to approve the recommended action. A roll call vote. Councilmember Aldama, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Clark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Melner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Tomachoff, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Turner, how do you vote?
Explain my vote.
Go ahead.
And on the no side of this issue since the beginning, and there's no reason to change now, so I'll vote no.
Say it again.
No.
No. Vice Mayor Hugh?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, the motion carries. Okay, now if we could go ahead and get item number 14.
Mayor, I don't need the presentation, I just wanted a separate vote.
Oh, okay. There you go. Okay, so can I get a motion?
Yeah, I move we approve item 14.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Melner, a second from Councilmember Clark to approve the recommended action. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Councilmember Aldama, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Clark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Melner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Tomachoff, how do you vote?
I'd like to explain my vote.
Go ahead.
I honestly had intended to vote yes on this, but this afternoon at the workshop, I asked for a clarification on almost $300,000 worth of expenses listed on here and was unable to get an explanation as to what they were for. So with that, I vote no.
Okay, and then let's go back to Councilmember Aldama. Your microphone is up. How do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you. Councilmember Turner, how do you vote?
No.
Vice Mayor, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Moving on to bids and contracts. Ms. Bauer, would you introduce item 36, please?
Mayor, point of order.
Go ahead.
All right. In the consent motion, you approved the consent agenda. You did not approve the consent resolution. So if you'd accept a motion for the consent resolutions before you move on, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay, now you got me lost. Say that again.
Mayor, I move we approve consent resolutions 24 through 35.
Second.
Okay, now I'm with you. Okay, so you've heard the motion. Any discussion? Okay, roll call vote. Councilmember Aldama, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Clark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Melner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Tomachoff, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Turner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Vice Mayor, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, the motion carries. Okay, now moving on to bids and contracts. Ms. Bauer, item 36, if you would, please.
Authorization to enter into a memorandum of agreement with New Leaf, Inc. in an amount not to exceed $224,000 to provide essential services to victims of domestic violence.
Okay, do we have any speaker cards?
No, sir.
No, okay. Were you going to speak on this? Your mic's not on, sir. Try it.
We have been contracting with New Leaf since 2004. This would be a renewal of the contract. There is a budget line for this. However, there is a grant that covers it, so this is really no cost to the city budget. It is an essential service. These folks provide guidance and advice to victims of crimes. And in our city, where there is a significant business in protective orders, they provide an invaluable service to victims of domestic violence, and we would recommend approval.
Thank you, sir. Any questions? Seeing none, roll call vote. Councilmember Aldama, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Clark, how do you vote?
I'd like to explain my vote.
Go ahead.
Even though this is a
Mayor,
5-year
Do
contract.
we have a motion? I didn't say it.
Oh, man.
I'll wait.
Okay, let's try this again. Let me get a motion first, and then we'll go ahead and vote.
Okay, Mayor, I move that we approve item number 36.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilmember Melner, second Councilmember Tomachoff for the recommended action. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Councilmember Aldama, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Clark, how would you like to explain your vote?
Mayor, as I was saying, it is my habit and practice to not support 5-year contracts, but in this case, this is being covered by a grant and does not include the expenditure of city money, so I will vote aye.
Thank you. Councilmember Melner?
Aye.
Microphone. Thank you. Councilmember Tomachoff?
Aye.
Councilmember Turner?
Aye.
Vice Mayor, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, the motion carries. Ms. Bauer, would you introduce item 37, please?
Authorization to enter into a service level agreement for court computer hardware and software applications with Arizona Supreme Court Administrative Office of the Court.
Any speaker cards?
No, sir.
All right. Do you need to explain it?
This is a contract for computers, computer service applications, and programs. There is no other source. We must take these services and goods from the Administrative Office of the Courts for the state of Arizona. We've been doing this consistently since 1999, and as I said, there's no alternative. Recommend approval.
Thank you. Okay. Can we get a motion?
Yes, Mayor, I move we enter into the service level agreement for court computer hardware and software applications with Arizona Supreme Court Administrative Office of Court.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Tomachoff, a second from the Vice Mayor to approve the recommended action. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Councilmember Aldama, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Clark, how do you vote?
Mayor, again, I'm going to explain my vote.
Go ahead.
Since this is a sole source provider and we don't have any other choices, I am compelled to vote aye.
Thank you. Councilmember Milner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Tomachoff, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Turner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Vice Mayor, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Ms. Bauer, would you introduce item 38, please?
Award RFP 21-15 and authorization to enter into a professional services agreement with Credit Management Group, LLC, doing business as Christmas lights decorators for Murphy Park Lights Display.
Any speaker cards?
No, sir.
Okay. Council members, do you have any questions? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve item 38?
Yes, Mayor. I move we award RFP 21-15 and authorize an entry into the professional services agreement with Credit Management Group, LLC, doing business as Christmas lights decorators.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Clark, second Councilmember Tomachoff to approve the recommended action. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, a roll call vote. Councilmember Aldama, how do you vote?
May I explain my vote?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I will not be in favor of item number 38 for holiday lights due to an unbalance, in my opinion, in the RFP process. I feel the RFP process requires refining, and for that I vote nay. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Clark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Milner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Tomachoff, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Turner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Vice Mayor, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Ms. Bauer, can you introduce item 39, please?
Authorization to enter into a master software service agreement with Rubicon Global, LLC for fleet services, equipment, software, and services.
Any speaker cards?
No, sir.
Okay, council members, any questions? Hearing none. Can I get a motion to approve item 39?
Mayor,
Go ahead.
I move we authorize the city manager to enter into the described agreement with Rubicon Global LLC.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Turner, second Councilmember Tomachoff To approve the recommended action, is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Councilmember Aldama, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Clark, how do you vote?
Nay.
Councilmember Melner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Tomachoff, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Turner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Vice Mayor, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, the motion carries. Ms. Bauer, would you introduce item number 40?
Authorization to enter into a linking agreement with TD Industries, Inc. for HVAC equipment installation service and related products, and to ratify expenditures.
Any speaker cards?
No, sir.
Thank you. Councilmember, any questions? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve item 40?
Mayor,
Go ahead.
motion to approve item number 40, authorization to enter a linking agreement with TD Industries.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Aldama, second from Councilmember Hugh to approve recommended action. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Councilmember Aldama, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Clark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Melner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Tomachoff, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Turner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Vice Mayor, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, that motion carries unanimous. Ms. Bauer, would you introduce item 4.1, please?
Award of RFP 21-07 and authorization to enter into an agreement with SciTech Southwest LLC for landfill global positioning system equipment and compaction management system.
Speaker cards?
No, sir.
Thank you. Any questions from our council? Hearing none, motion to approve item number 41, please.
Mayor,
Go ahead.
I move that we approve item number 41, the award of RFP 21-07.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Melner, a second from the Vice Mayor to approve the recommended action. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Councilmember Aldama, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Clark, how do you vote?
Nay.
Councilmember Melner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Tomachoff, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Turner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Vice Mayor, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, that motion carries. Public hearing land development actions. Now moving on to just that, item number 42, ordinance 021-40.
Ordinance number 021-40, an ordinance of the Council of the City of Glendale, Maricopa County, Arizona, amending the Wolf Crossing Planned Area Development, ZON 05-20, located at 15551 West Olive Avenue, amending the zoning map, providing for an effective date, and directing the city clerk to record a certified copy of the ordinance.
Mayor, members of the council, here to provide staff report this evening is Interim Planning Administrator Tabitha Perry.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a request brought before you from Planning Commission for a rezoning application to amend the existing Wolf Crossing PAD. In 2006, Wolf Crossing PAD was approved for an approximately 738-acre mixed-use development consisting of residential and non-residential land uses. The request is to amend parcels C through J, which allows for residential components and permit commercial and loop-compatible land uses with appropriate development standards. This map depicts the general location of the subject site in comparison to City Hall. The area map depicts the entire Wolf Crossing PAD. The site boundaries are east of the Loop 303 and Cerevel Avenue, south of Olive Avenue, west of Reams Road, and north of Northern Avenue. For location context, Wolf Crossing Logistics, Falcon Dunes Golf Course, and the Cubes at Glendale are located east of the subject site, and northwest is Zanjero Pass, a residential project that will be presented next on the agenda. The land use designation is regional mixed use. The zoning is PAD. The exhibit allows for a greater context for the proposed PAD amendment in comparison to the existing PAD. The area in yellow, blue, and green represents parcels C through J, which are the basis for the proposed amendment. The yellow parcels currently allows for single-family residential. The blue area represents development for an education land use, and the green area depicts approximately 5 acres intended for a neighborhood park. The salmon-colored area represents loop-compatible land uses, and the red area is intended for commercial developments with other regulations outlined in the existing PAD. The proposed land uses are generally outlined on the screen, and the specific land uses within the proposed PAD narrative are compatible with the land uses established in the existing PAD. The proposed development standards are compatible with development standards within the existing PAD and other PADs, such as Wolf Crossing Logistics. The request complies with the citizen participation process requirement and all other legal requirements for the item to be heard this evening. Luke Air Force Base supports the amendment. The proposed land uses are consistent with the general plan. The PAD amendment is compatible with the existing and surrounding PAD zonings with development regulations that are compatible with developments in the Loop 303 area. On June 17th, Planning Commission recommended approval of the application with the 11 stipulations outlined in the staff report. In summary, the stipulations address development in substantial conformance with existing and amended PAD, dedication of right-of-way, irrigation ditch requirements, and all references to single-family development is invalid within the Wolf Crossing PAD. With that, Mayor and Council, I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions for Ms. Perry? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Ms. Perry, you referenced the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission's task is to make recommendations to the council. However, I do not see it here.
Mayor, Councilmember Tomachoff, the packet was due prior to the item being heard before Planning Commission on June the 17th, so it's not referenced in your packet, but during the public hearing for Planning Commission, they gave a recommendation for approval.
Mayor, if I could, however, the agenda says that this was updated yesterday, the PowerPoint, and I don't know how hard it would be, difficult it would be to update the staff report, but I would think that, and I would hope that Planning Commission recommendations would be included in the council presentations. That's what their job is to make a recommendation to the council. However, it's not in this one, and it's also not in the next one. Thank you.
Any other questions for Ms. Perry? Hearing none. Public hearing is now open on item number 42. I have no speaker cards on item 42. Anyone wishing to speak? Hearing none. Public hearing is now closed. Can I get a motion for item 42?
Yes, Mayor.
What?
Yes, Mayor.
Let me finish. Item 42, ordinance number 021-40. Councilmember, go ahead.
Thank you. I move that we approve ordinance number 021-40, Wolf Crossing.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Clark, a second from the Vice Mayor to approve the recommended action. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing none. We'll do a roll call vote. Councilmember Aldama, how do you vote? Aye. Councilmember Clark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Melner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Hugh, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Turner, how do you vote?
Explain my vote, Mayor.
Go ahead.
I'm happy to see the removal of the residential from that area, and I would only like to reiterate my opinion to the developer and staff and management and the council that we need to make sure that we are developing reoccurring general fund revenue as that area develops. And with that, I vote aye.
Vice Mayor, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. The motion carries. Ms. Bauer,
Mayor?
would you introduce item
Mayor?
4?
I didn't get to vote on that.
Well, I crossed your name out. Anyway, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Okay, so it's a unanimous vote. Motion carries. Ms. Bauer, would you introduce item 43, please?
Ordinance number 021-41, an ordinance of the Council of the City of Glendale, Maricopa County, Arizona, rezoning 171.56 acres located north of the northeast corner of Citrus Road and Olive Avenue from R1-7 PRD Single Residence Planned Residential Development, R1-8 PRD Single Residence Planned Residential Development, and R1-10 PRD Single Residence Planned Residential Development to R1-6 PRD, 50-foot wide lots, single residence, planned residential development. R1-6 PRD, 45-foot wide lots, single residence, planned residential development. And R1-10 PRD, single residence, planned residential development for development plan entitled Zanjero Pass, amending the zoning map, providing for an effective date, and directing the city clerk to record a certified copy of the ordinance.
Mayor, members of the council, here to provide staff report is our Director of Development Services, Jamshid Mehta.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you is a proposal, public hearing has to do with Zanjero Pass, a zoning amendment case that was handled several years ago, and they've come in for an amendment at this point in time. This item was presented before the Planning Commission. Councilmember Tomachov, to your point, yes, they did have recommendations, and those recommendations are now included in the packet that's before you that was identified and delivered to you today. The ordinance has changed accordingly based on their recommendations, and so has the slides. So I'll be going through the slides that you have before you placed on your dais right now. So this is a request to rezone PRD, Planned Residential Development, for R17, R18, and R110 to R16 and R110 with varying dimensions for lot widths. The applicant is Brennan Ray, representing Birch and Cracchiolo, also in the audience today, and glad to answer any questions or even make a presentation if that's your pleasure. Zanjero Pass is located roughly 15 miles from City Hall. It's an area that was previously identified and is in the general plan as MDR 3.5 to 5. The density they are proposing is at the low end of this range, close to 3.5. That density is quite comparable to some of the surrounding densities, with the exception of to the north, where it's usually about 1 to 1.5 acre sites, and immediately to the east is also between 1.5 to 2 acre sites. But almost everything around it, with those two exceptions, are comparable densities. In fact, in some cases, they're also 45-foot lots, and they're all within the unincorporated part of Maricopa County. The site plan, and this might be hard to relate to because there are three distinct colors associated with the proposed site plan. To the immediate north and to the immediate east, they have maintained what used to be R110, and they've kept that. There are two other color bands associated with this proposal, R16 with 50-foot wide lots and R16 with 45-foot lots, and that's the varying color scheme associated with the site plan. The next three slides have to do with the proposed development standards, and in your most recent slides package in front of you, we've also identified it in red so you know where the changes are. So for example, under R110 PRD, where the minimum width by some original standard was 90 feet, and now it's proposed 80. And for R16, they've got a 45-foot wide home product, and that is 5,400 versus the usual in R16, which is 6,000. So taking that as an example, the other next slide also shows you in red where the changes are. In fact, in the minimum depth, what would usually be expected in a straight zoning, minimum depth of 100 feet. In this case, they've increased it to 130 for R110 and 120 for the remaining R16 lots. Side setbacks, those are reductions from 10 to 5 and 10 combination, and the small numbers associated with it are footnotes, which we've also got in the slide following the next slide over here. The lot coverage is also a little bit different than what would be in straight zoning. The street side setbacks are also a reduction from normally what would be 10 feet to 5 feet. But in most cases where it comes to street side setbacks, there's also tracts of land for drainage purposes. So the setback truly from the street is greater than 5 feet as it's indicated here, because the tract itself could be anything in the range of 8 to 10 feet as well. The next two slides are simply the footnotes associated with the previous three slides that I just showed you. The point being that we want to make sure that these standards are the ones that are deviating from your traditional zoning and from the previously approved zoning cases. In terms of public involvement, the applicant did have a virtual meeting set up over there several months ago, back in December, but they also went ahead and responded to concerns of some of the neighbors who were not necessarily computer savvy or did not have the opportunity to get onto Zoom. So I believe the applicant's representative had met them on site related to their concerns, and some of their concerns have translated into certain changes that they have offered. And I will talk to you about that in the next slide. Hearing notices were mailed a couple times because the Planning Commission dates had also moved a couple times. And the last meeting that they had was just last Thursday. So the findings associated with this has to do with, well, there were several changes. The amendments that we are recommending to you has to do with changes to access points, interior circulation, the number of lots, and the increase in the number of lots, but at the same time, the size of the lot itself. As I had mentioned, the density associated with it is 3.5, which is quite comparable and consistent with general plan designation for this category, but also quite similar to those in the adjacent surrounding areas, with the exception of to the north and to the immediate east. So the recommendations from the Planning Commission in this case is development is in substantial conformance with what they had proposed. And to this point, back in 2014, there was a pre-annexation development agreement. And at that point, the pre-annexation development, in that time period, there were no residential impact fees for the areas west of 115th. However, in the agreement on the side, it was determined and agreed upon by the applicant for, at that time, the 491 units that were part of that would pay $1,888 as in lieu fee per residential dwelling unit. Well, since then, and now that they've coming back with an additional 114 lots, and the original pre-annexation development agreement only spoke to the initial 491 lots, so the additional 114 are to be charged at the newer rate, still considered an in lieu fee, but it's comparable to what would have been the development impact fee associated with it since you adopted the 2019 DIF program. And the applicant has agreed to that. So instead of amending the pre-annexation development agreement, we've included it here in the stipulation to make it a straightforward approval process. Number 3 over here identifies which are the lots that are specifically identified as single story. Initially, their recommendation was only to do it to the north, which is along Sherrill Drive, but after additional input from some neighboring folks, applicant was willing to go ahead and also identify all those homes, all those lots that are fronting 175th, which is the eastern boundary, to also be single story. This was clarified in the Planning Commission meeting. It wasn't there prior to that. And also the 5th point over here, which has to do with the developer shall install wrought iron fencing between two lots, 380 and 381, so that the landscaping tract is secured and people just don't go into a dead end and facing a wall. And then the neighbors to the north were concerned, will that ever turn into an access point? And this would ensure that it will not. So the previous recommendation was to have access points on Sherrill Drive, and now there are none. The previous recommendation was also to have driveways coming out on 175th, and they've taken that out as well. So with that, I believe I've concluded the formal presentation and glad to take any questions. And I mentioned earlier, Mr. Brennan Ray is also here in the audience to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Mehta. Councilmember Tomachoff.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Mehta, you mentioned that the Planning Commission recommendation was included, but where is it?
So in addition to the 4 that are in the recommendation list, theirs was item number 5. It's not specifically called out as a Planning Commission recommendation, but this is what was added at their pleasure.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Item number 5, the one on the screen right now, is the one that was specifically asked by the Planning Commission. They voted on it. So that's something that came from the Planning Commission.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm asking, where is the Planning Commission's recommendation to the City Council on whether or not to approve this request?
That too was an opportunity. We failed to include it in this package. We had that meeting just Thursday night and hadn't got a chance to put it in the formal package for you.
Again, this PowerPoint was updated yesterday, a couple of days after. I just find it unacceptable that we are not given the Planning Commission's recommendations. That's why they exist, is to make a recommendation to the council. So I'm just a little dumbfounded that how that can get left off. I think it's one of the most important things that we need to have to make a decision. Thank you.
Any other questions? Public hearing is now open on item number 43. Do you have any speaker cards?
No, sir.
Okay. So with that, public hearing is now closed. Can I get a motion for item 43, ordinance 021-41?
Mayor,
Go ahead.
motion to approve item number 43, ordinance number 021-41.
Second.
Have motion from Councilmember Aldama, second from Councilmember Clark to approve the recommended action. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, we'll conduct a roll call vote. Councilmember Aldama, how do you vote?
Explain my vote.
Go ahead, sir.
I just want to explain that I support Councilmember Tomachoff with her request to make sure that the staff recommendations are in the packet. It's very important. That is their primary duty, and it needs to be in there. We cannot miss it again. I vote aye. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Clark.
Aye.
Thank you, Councilmember Milner.
Aye.
Councilmember Hugh.
Aye.
Councilmember Turner.
Explain my vote.
Go ahead.
And Councilmember Tomachoff and Councilmember Aldama's comments are applicable to all departments, not just planning. All commissions are important to us. And I would just like to add that I wish we'd never annex this parcel. And with that, I vote aye.
Vice Mayor Tomachoff. Vice Mayor Tomachoff.
Thank you for the promotion.
And you know what?
Mayor, I'd like to explain my vote.
Go ahead.
I agree with Councilmember Turner. This was done literally at one of my very first voting meetings, and I really honestly do also wish this is so detached from the city core of the city of Glendale. I think it was unwise annexation. I take responsibility for it. I was a brand new council member, and we probably, had I had this vote to take again, I would not vote to annex this into the city of Glendale. And the increased density, I think, is going to be problematic for us, so I vote nay.
Okay. Mr. Hugh, I did call your name, correct? Okay. Chair votes aye, the motion carries. Okay, moving on to item number 44. I do have 2 speakers on this one, so we want to make sure that we hear them. Ms. Bauer, would you introduce item 44?
Ordinance number 021-42, an ordinance of the Council of the City of Glendale, Maricopa County, Arizona, amending the Glendale City Code, Chapter 24, Section 24-3, specific definitions, Section 24-61, parking of mobile homes or travel trailers, Section 24-62, stopping, standing, or parking prohibited in specified places, Section 24-65, sale, storage, and repair of vehicles, by adding Section 24-68, parking on residential lots, and amending Section 24-70 exceptions and setting forth an effective date.
Mayor, members of the council, here to provide staff report this evening is Rick St. John, Deputy City Manager.
Mayor, members of the council, this is a request for council to adopt an ordinance amending Chapter 24 as read in by our city clerk, Ms. Bauer. As you know, this has been a topic of conversation in a code review committee that began in February of 2019. They had consultants in that committee. Several members of the council are on that committee. And these recommendations that were brought forth into workshops in April, May, and June of this year were all recommendations made by the code review committee that were vetted through the city attorney's office, and we believe are reflective of what will best enhance our communities. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions from the council? Hearing none. Okay, I do have 2 speaker cards. I'm going to ask for Warren Wilfong, if you'll come to the podium. And then after Warren, Elizabeth Maurice. You'll be after Mr. Wilfong. You have 3 minutes, sir. State your name and where you live.
My name is Warren Wilfong, Ocotillo District. I'm on the Planning Commission, the Code Review Committee. I'm speaking here today as a resident. I'm going to be talking about RV parking. The recommendation from the Code Committee was 1 RV and the rest of them parked on the side yard if you had more than 1. This got changed in the workshop, and we haven't been able to talk about this publicly until now. This is an RV of what our recommendation was. He does not have access to park on the side. We allowed the 1 RV. You can go to the next one. This is in Councilman Turner's district. As you can see, there's 2 RVs there. It takes up the whole driveway, which encourages other issues like parking in the street or in the front yard. Our recommendation was to park on the side, the other RV, park on the side yard. Go ahead and turn to the next one. As you can see, he does have an RV gate. This is not a quality issue. This is an inconvenience. And the inconvenience is only 20 or 30 feet. Instead of parking in the front yard, you're parking on the side yard. There's no quality issue here. Going to the next one. This is a Hughes district. Again, huge RV, huge cargo trailer. Going to the next one. He has access on the side yard. This is reasonable do. This is nothing out of what normal people do. This is all that the Code Committee was asking, was to put the second RV on the side yard. It's very reasonable, and it's what the committee recommended. This is Ocotillo District. Tomachoff made a comment saying she'd hate to see this in her district. Well, let me tell you something. With your recommendation, this is 2 properties. One property has 2 RVs, the other one has 1. Your recommendation would allow another RV on the other side. So it would have 4 RVs side by side in my neighborhood. I can't make it any clearer how, property devalue on this. And it affects the quality of the neighborhood. Go ahead. This is the same property. Clearly has a side gate. You can park one of the RVs on the side gate. It's not inconveniencing him too much. Go ahead. Here's in Councilman Malnar's district. I don't even need to explain what's going on here. The picture does it 1,000 words. I mean, this is just ridiculous that we cannot address this. I mean, it's terrible. So let's go to the next one. How does the resident hide this? He puts an RV in front of it.
Time
Mr.
up. Mayor.
Time's up, sir.
Oh, is it really? Okay.
It is. Thank you. Elizabeth Maurice. You're up, ma'am. And again, if you would, for the record, state your name. And we don't need your address. We just need to what district you live in.
My name is Elizabeth A. Maris. Excuse my voice. It doesn't affect my brain. And I'm here to discuss the RV, the codes, all that. the citizens of Glendale asked me to represent them, and I'm going to represent them. They don't know what the heck you're doing with these codes. They don't understand them. People are panicking, and they're getting cement laid down that they can't afford because you're doing this to everybody. I said, what if my family wanted to come from back east in their RV to visit me? Would that be allowed? I have a small house. It's a 2-bedroom. I can't put my family up. They would have to stay in the RV. I can't do that on my property. I've lived there since the early 90s. I never had these kind of restrictions. Even all my neighbors are so totally fed up with the city doing this because you had code before. You didn't do anything about it. You were very selective. You didn't take care of the problems in our Saguaro District too. Look at Granada Estates. I didn't know about that. I've lived there for so long. And when I saw the videos, it was a slum. And it was nothing anybody here did to help them. Even you, Representative Milner, you did nothing to help them. Now, I'm for some reasonable codes, but these codes are ridiculous. And none of the neighbors are going to abide by them. You need to put off this vote until the fall, when you could get straight codes, exactly what you want without changes. Every 2 seconds I looked at them and there were changes. I can't figure out what you want as a city. How could you post this on all my neighbors? They're not dumb. I'm not done. This is just so totally beyond anything the neighbors could ever think of. If you, what you should do, what I recommend.
Time, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Thank you. Your time's up. Yes, ma'am. Your time's up. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, can I get a motion on ordinance number 021-42, item number 44?
Yes, Mayor. I move we pass and adopt ordinance number 021-42.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Clark, second from Councilmember Tomachoff to approve the recommended action. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we'll conduct a roll call vote, starting with Councilmember Eldama. How do you vote?
May I explain my vote?
Please.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to some of the comments made this evening, what we're doing here today with this ordinance is to improve the quality of life for neighbors who live next to each other. We're improving the lives of the people we serve. Sometimes that's not really easy to do. By doing so, you make some people happy and then you tick off others. I think today's vote will help us clean up some of the blight in our neighborhoods. I wasn't for having 2 motorized RVs in the front yard for reasons in some of the photos, but there's no way to abstract that out and vote it differently unless somebody made that motion. But with that, I will vote aye.
Thank you. Councilmember Clark, how do you vote?
I'd like to explain my vote also,
Go ahead.
Mayor. Over the past several weeks, I've received a lot of emails, as I'm sure the rest of council has. Some of it has been already a matter of urban legend. The complaints that I'm getting are not based upon the changes that are being actually offered in code with regard to RVs. I think this might spur many people to take a look at RV parking. I sympathize with Mr. Wilfong, who would like to eliminate all RV parking off the face of the earth. I do understand that. He lives in a neighborhood I used to live in, and there are problems there, and there's not enough space, really, for much RV parking. So people are misusing codes to a great extent. But I think that before everyone gets too upset, they really have to read the code and see the changes that have been applied and see that they're, quite frankly, they're moderate changes. I was not supportive of some of the changes, and some of the changes I was supportive of. You're not going to please everybody, and as the mayor said earlier this afternoon at the workshop, if you have people who are unhappy about something in the new code, then you must have done a good job, because if everybody were happy or everybody were mad, it wouldn't have been a very good job. So with that, I am voting aye. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Milner?
I'd like to explain my vote.
Go ahead.
Just to add to the words of Councilmember Clark and Aldama, the changes we're making, we've actually made changes that have loosened up the code. For example, when we added 2 commercial vehicles, it used to be 1, and it was this council that said, you know, let's be more fair with our citizens. So everything we did wasn't more restrictive, and the areas that were restrictive, all of the emails I have received, and I received one today, as I read through it, nothing that this resident stated would be in violation. You know, as long as he was parking on acceptable parking spaces, the quantity of vehicles and so forth. So I don't believe, once we go through this process and we implement this, I believe the residents will see that it is not that greatly restrictive. And we have to remember, you know, going down the roads here in Glendale, the speed limit's about 45 or 40 miles an hour. But a policeman doesn't pull you over when you're going 41 or 1 or 2 or 3 miles an hour over. And the same is going to apply to these codes as well. You know, when there's minor infractions, you know, a person parks an RV in front of their house for a short time, that's not going to get a citation. By the time the code is called and by the time the code gets out there, by the time, you know, the RV can be moved. And typically, everyone is given a chance to correct their situation before a citation is given. So there's no fine. They're simply, hey, ma'am or sir, you know, you're in violation of the code. Could you please take care of it? And that's all there is to it. And there's not a fine. And I want to make sure the residents realize that there's not a fine just because you park something illegal. But if you park it illegal and you're notified that it's illegal, and then you continue to park it illegal, then you may get a citation. And that's what this is all about, trying to improve the quality of life in our neighborhoods. And with that, I vote aye.
Thank you. Councilmember Tomachoff.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like also to explain my vote, and also thank the Code Committee for their work. I know that there was a lot of time and energy put into making these recommendations, and obviously some of them are being met with opposition. The 2 commercial vehicles, I think, as Councilmember Mullner said, is an increase because we want to be friendly to businesses, and that, you know, if two family members have a wrap vehicle or whatever, that's going to be allowable now. And the 2 RVs is a bit of a compromise. I mean, some people obviously are not happy with just think 2 is too many, and other people think 2 is not enough. So I don't think we're ever going to be able to get exactly to the right number for everyone. But the point is now there is a number of what you're allowed to have in place, which we did not have before to enforce. So, you know, the way the community looks matters, and I think that's what we're all trying to get to, is a community that, you know, when people drive up and down our streets, we don't see, you know, a bunch of cars and RVs and stuff all piled up in people's driveways and front yards, inoperable or otherwise. So with that, I vote aye, Mayor.
Councilmember Turner.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to explain my vote.
Go ahead.
It's been a long path getting here, and as has been said, I've got residents who would prefer to have no RVs or maybe one, and others who don't understand why anybody objects to them having their whole front yard full of them. So it seemed clear to me from our workshop discussion on this a few weeks ago that there weren't the votes to limit RVs to only one, and so that's why I didn't offer an amendment tonight. And I mean, we're making progress. It's not everybody's happy, but it's also nice to know this isn't necessarily the end of it. This is an ordinance, and if future councils or this council in the future wants to reconsider this part of it, then we certainly can. And for the kind lady who came and spoke a little bit earlier, I would just like to point out that we did in fact have citizens on the code committee, as well as council members, but more citizens than council members, and also received excellent support from our code staff and our deputy city manager, and for a brief period of time, the consultant that was working on this. So there's been a lot of thought that's gone into this, and I've received enough information and feedback from my citizens to know that it wasn't done in the dark. There's been a lot of conversation about this in the community, and though it's not perfect, I can't let perfect be the enemy of the good, and therefore I vote aye.
Vice Mayor. You're up.
Sorry, I'm just going to vote nay.
Okay, and I'm going to explain my vote. I'm very, very, very concerned that legally, I think this could be a taking. I think that we are going to get into some legality lawsuit issues. And I just don't believe that the city of Glendale should be acting as a major HOA. That's why we have HOAs. Let them regulate. If people want to live in an HOA, they can, and they have to abide by those particular rules. I'm very, very concerned that a lot of people over several decades have been allowed to do something a certain way, and now we're not going to allow them to do that. I've been very vocal all through this. I got a letter from a person saying that they knew that I'd vote no, but that was only to appease the council. I'm not appeasing the council, I'm opposing the council. I don't actually agree with this, and so I'm going to be a no vote. But we have the votes to pass it. It's something that I'm not happy with, but it is what it is. That's the way a council works. We all voice our opinion on what we believe is the right thing, and we live with the consequences. So with that, it does pass with 2 nay votes and 5 in favor votes. Ms. Bauer, would you introduce item 45, ordinance 021-43?
Ordinance number 021-43, an ordinance of the Council of the City of Glendale, Maricopa County, Arizona, authorizing the execution of conveyances of easements and warranty deeds at various locations throughout the city, and directing the city clerk to record a certified copy of the ordinance.
Mayor, members of the council, here to provide staff report on items number 45, 46, and 47 is Glendale Principal Engineer Jamie Chapin.
Thank you, Mr. Phelps, and good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a request to adopt an ordinance accepting deeds and easements throughout the city. These land interests are being obtained in conjunction with private development that is occurring. And staff recommends acceptance of the deeds and easements so that the city may be able to maintain and operate its facilities in the easements and also in public right-of-way. Thank you.
Okay, do we have any speaker cards on this item?
No, sir.
All right. Any questions from the council? Hearing none, we have no speaker cards. Could I get a motion on ordinance 021-43, item 45?
Yes, Mayor, I move we adopt ordinance number 021-43.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Tomachoff, a second from Councilmember Clark to approve the recommended action. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, a roll call vote. Councilmember Aldama, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Clark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Melner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Tomachoff, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Turner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Vice Mayor, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. The motion carries unanimous. Could he introduce item 46, ordinance 021-44, please?
Ordinance number 021-44, an ordinance of the Council of the City of Glendale, Maricopa County, Arizona, authorizing the abandonment of easements at various locations throughout the city and directing the city clerk to record a certified copy of the ordinance.
Mayor and council members, this is a request for City Council to adopt an ordinance authorizing the abandonment of easements for public utilities in various locations throughout the city. The two items tonight are an abandonment associated with the relocation of a water line at the Sam's Club at North 83rd Avenue and an abandonment of a water line at the Manistee Ranch Townhomes. Since the city infrastructure has been removed or abandoned from the easements, staff is recommending the abandonment. Thank you.
Council members, any questions? Hearing none, it's going to get a motion for ordinance 021-44, item number 46.
Mayor,
Go ahead, sir.
I move that we adopt and approve ordinance number 02144, authorizing the abandonment of easements at various locations throughout the city.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Milner, a second from Councilmember Clark to approve the recommended action. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, a roll call vote. Councilmember Aldama, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Clark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Milner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Tomachoff, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Turner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Vice Mayor, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, the motion carries unanimous. Ms. Bauer, would you introduce item 47, ordinance 021-45?
Ordinance number 021-45, an ordinance of the Council of the City of Glendale, Maricopa County, Arizona, authorizing the execution of conveyances of easements, warranty deeds, and dedication of public right-of-ways in support of the Glendale Avenue Reconstruction Project, and directing the city clerk to record a certified copy of the ordinance.
Mayor and council members, this is a request to accept real property interest in support of the Glendale Avenue Reconstruction Project. In conjunction with the project, it was determined that portions of the roadway were located in easements or outside of existing right-of-way. We are also obtaining a drainage easement from the Phoenix Cement property, which will hold a basin so that roadway runoff may discharge into the basin. Staff is recommending acceptance of the property easements and right-of-way in support of the project. Thank you.
Any speaker cards?
No, sir.
Thank you. Any discussion from the council? No questions? Is there a motion for ordinance 021-45, item 47?
Yes, Mayor.
Go ahead.
I move we pass and adopt ordinance number 021-45.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Clark, second from the Vice Mayor to approve the recommended action. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing none. Conduct a roll call vote. Councilmember Aldama, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Clark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Milner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Tomachoff, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Turner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Vice Mayor, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, that motion carries unanimous. Ms. Bauer, would you introduce item 48, ordinance 021-46?
Ordinance number 021-46, an ordinance of the Council of the City of Glendale, Maricopa County, Arizona, levying upon the assessed valuation of the property within the City of Glendale, subject to taxation, a certain sum upon each $100 of valuation sufficient to raise the amount estimated to be required in the annual budget, less the amount estimated to be received from other sources of revenue, providing funds for various bond redemptions for the purpose of paying interest upon bonded indebtedness, and providing funds for general municipal expenses, all for the fiscal year ending the 30th day of June 2022, and declaring an emergency.
Mayor, members of the council, here to provide staff report on both item number 46 and 47 is Glendale Budget and Finance Director Lisette Camacho.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. This item is to set the property tax rate for fiscal year 2022. The primary property tax rate is 0.3848 per $100 of assessed valuation. The secondary property tax rate is $1.3409 per $100 of assessed valuation. The total property tax rate will decrease approximately 8 cents from 1.8012 to 1.7257. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Council members, any questions? Any speaker cards?
No, sir.
Thank you. Can I get a motion for ordinance 021-46, item 48?
Mayor?
Go ahead.
Motion to approve item number 48, ordinance number 021-46.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Aldama, second from Councilmember Clark to approve the recommended action. Is Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, we'll conduct a roll call vote. Councilmember Aldama, how do you
Aye.
vote? Councilmember Clark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Milner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Tomachoff, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Turner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Vice Mayor, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I'm going to explain my vote. I think this is 6 years in a running, I believe 6 years straight, that we have not increased our secondary property taxes, so good job, everybody. I do vote aye. Motion carries unanimous. Ms. Bauer, would you introduce item 49, please?
Ordinance number O21-47, an ordinance of the council of the city of Glendale, Maricopa County, Arizona, authorizing cash and appropriation balance transfers between budget items in the adopted fiscal year 2020-2021 budget.
Mayor, members of the council, this item is to approve fiscal year 2021 budget amendments. The total budget appropriation across all funds remains unchanged with this action. Exhibit A contains the details of the appropriation transfer. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Council members, any questions? Hearing none, have we any speaker cards?
No, sir.
Perfect. Is there a motion on ordinance 021-47, item number 49?
Yes, Mayor, I move we adopt ordinance number O21-47.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Tomachoff, a second from the Vice Mayor. Approve the recommended action. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing none. Councilmember Aldama, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Clark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Melner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Tomachoff, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Turner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Vice Mayor, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. That motion carries unanimous. Ms. Bauer, would you introduce item number 50, ordinance number 021-48?
Ordinance number O21-48, an ordinance of the council of the city of Glendale, Maricopa County, Arizona, amending the Glendale City Code, Chapter 25, nuisances, Article 2, specific acts, omissions, and conditions by adding Section 25-25 newspaper dispensers and setting forth an effective date.
Mayor, members of the council, here to provide staff report is Deputy City Manager Rick St. John.
Mayor, members of the council, this is a request for council to adopt an ordinance amending Chapter 25 of the Glendale City Code, adding regulations for newspaper dispensers. Essentially, what we're adding is regulations requiring certain placements and then aesthetics of those newspaper dispensers. We believe this will be an enhancement to the community, and with that, I'm happy to answer any questions there may be.
Thank you. Council, any questions? Hearing none. Can I get a motion for ordinance 021-48, item number 50?
Mayor,
Go ahead.
I move we adopt the ordinance and waive reading beyond the title.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Turner, second from Councilmember Clark to approve the recommended action. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we'll conduct a roll call vote. Councilmember Aldama, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Clark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Melner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Tomachoff, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Turner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Vice Mayor, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. That motion carries unanimous. New business, moving on to that, item number 51. Ms. Bauer, would you introduce, please?
Authorization to enter into sponsorship agreement with the Arizona Basketball Coaches Association.
Mayor, members of the council, here to provide staff report this evening is Brent Stoddard, Deputy City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is the Section 7 event, which just took place at the State Farm Stadium this past weekend. This is an opportunity for the city to become a sponsor as part of that package. If you recall, back in 2018, after several major recruiting scandals, the NCAA organized a NCAA independent commission on basketball that was chaired by Condoleezza Rice. Several of the with the purpose of returning recruiting in college basketball back to high school coaches and scholastic entities. As part of those recommendations, the Arizona Basketball Coaches Association quickly got organized, submitted a proposal to the NCAA for what we call a Section 7 event. That was the original event was supposed to take place last year. If you recall, we came to the council in February to discuss the opportunity to for Glendale to host the Section 7 event. That, of course, was canceled because of the pandemic, and so this last weekend, with really less than 60 days of authorization from the NCAA, the Coaches Basketball Association, the Arizona Coaches Association pulled off what one newspaper called, they said nearly 200 high schools from 7 states were provided first-class treatment from the most organized and best put-together event ever conducted for high school athletes. What it amounted to was over 2,500 athletes, over 200 schools from across 7 states, and over 400 college basketball coaches from every major college and other colleges throughout the different divisions that came and were able to watch these kids compete and offer scholarships, to be able to recruit with them, all with equal footing. It was the first time that access like that had been provided in over 2 years. The sponsorship agreement keeps this Section 7 event in the city of Glendale at State Farm Stadium. It makes it so that the Arizona Basketball Coaches Association will contract with the Glendale hotels within that footprint. All hotels were at capacity and filled up from the last event. You can imagine, not only just from the teams and the players, the coaches, but then you've got all the family members and people that are coming in to watch their students come that are also filling up the restaurants, the hotels, the bars, and the other amenities that we offer. The sponsorship agreement is $35,000 a year. These are from funds that are already budgeted within CVB to sponsor these type of events that fill up our hotels and to make sure these events stay here in the city of Glendale. So with that, Mayor and Council, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Hearing none. Do we have any speaker cards? Thank you. Is there a motion for item number 51?
Yes, Mayor, I move we enter into the sponsorship agreement with the Arizona Basketball Coaches Association.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Tomachoff, second from Councilmember Aldama to approve the recommended action. Any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, a roll call vote. Councilmember Aldama, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Clark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Milner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Tomachoff, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Turner, how do you vote?
Explain my vote.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Those in attendance and those viewing intently from the edge of their chairs at home may recall that 2 weeks ago I voted against a $1 million sponsorship of the Super Bowl host committee. I intend to vote in favor of this one tonight, the difference being that the $1 million Super Bowl host committee sponsorship comes out of the city's general fund, and this sponsorship is coming from the Convention and Visitors Bureau Fund, which the dollars in there come specifically from tourism-related activities, hotel rooms, and that sort of thing. It's a whole different pot of money, and as far as I'm concerned, that makes a world of difference. And with that, I vote yes.
Vice Mayor, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, the motion carries. Request for future workshop and executive session.
Yes, Mayor. I move that we vacate our July City Council meetings and workshops. I further move that we hold the next regularly scheduled City Council workshop on Tuesday, August 10th, 2021 at 12:30 p.m. in the City Council chambers, to be followed by an executive session pursuant to ARS 38-331.03.
Second.
I have a motion from the Vice Mayor, a second from Councilmember Tomachoff. All in favor, vote aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Carries the ayes have it, do have it, that motion does carry. Next up is the council comments and suggestions, and we'll start off with Councilmember Aldama.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to remind residents and visitors that Christmas in July is here once again, July 10th, 2021, here in downtown Glendale and in Catlin Court. Also, the Glendale Community Centers for those in the district and those in the city who want to visit has reopened Monday through Friday. It opened on Monday, June 21st, but it's open Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. They've got some really good programs. And again, the community center is ran with city staff, so we've got some really great programs. A couple other comments. This has been, I mean, it's the same amount of months in a year, but boy, it's certainly been a very long fiscal year. This ends our fiscal year June 30th. Our operations start July 1 to June 30th, and for those in the audience that didn't know that, you do now. But we've had a long process, a long budget process. It's been very, very thorough. All the decisions I make on this dais isn't just from me, it's from our staff. And so I want to take this opportunity to thank our staff, our sanitation workers, our police officers, our firefighters, Parks and Recreation, groundskeepers, our HVAC team, and our leadership. Thank you so much. You guys have so much knowledge and expertise and experience that you helped me become a better council member, but it's It's your help that makes great decisions, and I want to thank you for walking me through those processes. I appreciate you. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Clark.
Yes, Mayor. In less than 2 weeks, it will be July 4th. I would hope that everyone would celebrate the spirit of July 4th for what it truly represents and the fact that we became an independent, we declared our independence from any other nation at that time. America is still the best, the greatest country in the world. If it weren't, we wouldn't have millions of people trying to get into this country every day of the year. We're still the freest nation on earth. July 4th, there's a 10-day window that people can celebrate with fireworks. All I ask is that many of us have pets, whether they're dogs, cats, turtles, whatever. And sometimes some neighborhoods sound like war zones and really scare these animals, and they take off and they end up in the pound. I would ask us to try to be cognizant and respectful of our neighbors and try to shoot them off during appropriate times during the day and not at 2 o'clock in the morning. Thank you very much, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Milner.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank all those who, citizens and staff who participated on the Code Review Committee. They put a lot of hours in. We still have a couple more meetings left, but there's been a lot of effort put forward. And I'd especially like to thank staff, Rick St. John and his staff, for all the work that they have put together in order to facilitate the operation of the Code Review Committee. Thank you.
Councilmember Thompson.
Thank you, Mayor. We adopted a resolution tonight without a lot of fanfare, but I think it's worth noting for our residents that item number 24, we adopted a resolution that's an intergovernmental agreement, basically with all West Valley cities, I'm not going to name the cities, establishing a West Valley mobile field, basically a task force, to provide pooled resources for specialized response to certain types of large incidents. So I think that's fantastic. I love seeing this kind of stuff, and I thought it would be worth mentioning so our residents know that we are collaborating with, I'll go ahead and name them, Avondale, Buckeye, El Mirage, Goodyear, Peoria, Surprise, Tolleson, and the town of Wickenburg. Our law enforcement officers are going to be working together and collaborating if they have to respond to large events. So I think that's really great. So thank you, Rick.
Thank you. Councilmember Turner.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a request of management and staff, and that is that the accurate final plat map, PowerPoint presentation, and the accompanying memo that wasn't posted in tonight's agenda be posted tomorrow so that residents can actually see what we discussed and voted on tonight. And in regards to the Code Committee and the work we've been doing, one of the refrains that I've heard over and over again is something along the lines of, if I wanted all these rules, I'd live in an HOA, or people who want rules need to go live in an HOA. And I just want to say that that's not how it works. We've always had rules across the city. We've always had ordinances and such that guide our interactions with each other and they're unfortunately necessary to help us to protect the quality of life in our neighborhoods. And if this council doesn't protect our neighborhoods, they won't be protected. And we'll see more of the neighborhoods similar to, let's say, Maryvale and Phoenix, more of that happening in Glendale neighborhoods if we aren't diligent about what we do with our code and to keep it modern and current. So the alternative isn't go live in an HOA. The alternative is if you can't conform to the community in which you live, then move to the county. That's where that's always been more or less no holds barred. It isn't a choice between rules and no rules in the city. It's move to the county, move to a larger piece of ground where you aren't an infringement on your neighbors. So the solution isn't HOA and moving to one. The solution is look at what you're doing, how it impacts your neighbors, and move to a neighborhood in which it's more appropriate. Thank you, Mayor.
Vice Mayor. And I'm going to hold my comments at this time. Okay, next up is citizens' comments. They're next up on the agenda. Council makes the opportunity available to citizens to bring information and business before the council that's not on the agenda, included on the printed agenda. Council can only act on matters that are on the printed agenda, but may refer the matter to the city manager for follow-up. If you're unable to speak from the podium, please notify the city clerk, and portable microphone will be brought to you when your name's called. I only have one speaker card, and that gentleman's name is Robert, I believe it's pronounced Neubauer. If you'll make your way to the podium, you have 3 minutes. Need you to state your name and the district that you live in. In case you didn't hear the instructions, we'll need your name, the district you live in. You have 3 minutes.
I heard the instructions. My name is Robert Neubauer, Jr. I live in the Ocotillo District. I'm here to report to the council a very ugly incident involving the mayor out at the Gila River Arena on June 12th, 2021, after the UFC Fight Night event. I work at the arena. My job after events like that is to exit people out of the parking garage safely. We have 2 exits, the south entrance or the south exit to Maryland, the north exit to Coyote Boulevard. When one is backed up all the way, I go to the other direction. At the moment the mayor and I had our encounter, I was directing traffic out to the north entrance, or the north exit rather. The line had backed up. The south exit was backed up all the way to the gate. The mayor was in line to exit the north. He whipped around the line, started speeding to the south exit. I jumped in front of his car. I had to. He was going fast enough, he would have rear-ended the people that were stopped in front of him. I yelled at him to stop and head out the north exit. He pulled up alongside me. He rolled the window down. He said, "Can the attitude. You don't want to get started with me." Well, I replied, "You don't want to get started with me. Go out the north exit the way I'm instructing you." The language got a little salty after that. The mayor, after a little bit of an exchange, and he was holding up traffic, he refused to go. I told him that if he didn't move, I would get security out to move him. He said, "I'd love to see that happen." I got my radio. I said, "I can make it happen right now." He then told me to eat shit and die. My response was appropriate. It was, "Fuck you, get out of my garage." Now, the mayor exited out the north exit. I found out later from a hotel employee that when he got to the top of the ramp there, he told the employee that the guy in the garage should be terminated. I'm the mayor. I was about to get out of my car and kick his ass. I told my supervisor when I saw him, told him to expect a call from the mayor's office on Monday, which we certainly got. The mayor demanded that I be terminated. Mayor, I'm sure your city manager has already let you know, didn't happen. I wasn't terminated, I wasn't suspended. And sir, if you'd like to kick my ass, I'd be happy to meet you at any boxing gym in the valley. We'll put on the gloves and get in the ring, and I'll give you a shot at the title. That way there will be witnesses. Now, the city manager is aware of this. He called the arena management.
Time's up, sir.
Absolutely. He's very concerned about
time's
how
up,
this
sir.
will
Thank
affect the next election.
Your time's up, sir. Okay, folks, with that, the adjournment, there being no further business before this council tonight, I'd like to thank everyone for, well, most everybody for attending tonight's meeting. There's no objection from this council. This meeting is adjourned.